Good evening and welcome to the October Volunteer Forum. We're coming to you tonight from Bannockburn here in lovely District 7. It's going to be a fantastic night. We're starting out this evening the outside of the station. As you can see, lots going on here. It's a shared facility with the SES, so it is a training night tonight. But let's get inside and have a look at what's going on so we can start tonight's forum. Team of people here today, live audience again. Give us a wave, folks. Excellent. The team are right here behind the desk getting ready to make it happen for tonight. As usual, senior management from CFA are online ready to answer your questions. As normally, tell us where you're coming from or watching from this evening that may be the case. We've got some real special guests here tonight. We're going to talk about some really great things affecting our volunteers. But as usual, before we start off, I'd like to acknowledge the Aboriginal lands to which we come together to do this tonight's forum. But wherever you may be, and pay my respects to elders past and present, and I welcome any Aboriginal elders of other communities that might be watching here this evening. We've also got a very, very special guest with us this evening, and some people may not have know or recognise a face in the crowd, but we do have our board chair, Jo Plummer. Welcome, Jo. Jo's going to be talking to us a bit later about some board matters and governance matter, and we'll hear from some other board members of what they think about being on the CFA board and why it's great to them. But as usual, let's see what's coming up on tonight's show. As always, it's absolutely fantastic to see our members logging in right across the state, whether you be from the Mornington Peninsula all the way to Murrum or off to Frankston or Tallarook. So it's fantastic to see a lot of people logging in this evening. I'm always interested to see where our members are watching from this evening. If you are interstate or even international, chuck it into the chat. I'm always keen to see how far we are reaching across the globe. Well, fantastic packed agenda here today. We've got a really interesting panel with us this evening that I want to introduce you all to. So Shannon Robinson, Bannockburn Captain.
Good evening.
Thank you for letting us invade your space this evening.
Thank you for coming.
No, it's not a problem at all. We have Dale, Brooke and Phil. Welcome, and we'll hear some stories from you all and some contributions here. So Shannon, Captain of Bannockburn, tell me, what's it like? What's the brigade like? What do you get up to?
Brigade's a great brigade. We have about nearly 38 to 40 members in our brigade. Managed to get a truck out at the door most of the days, most of the times. So, yeah, wide bunch of people that we have in our brigade.
So tell me a bit about Bannockburn, the community, the town. We're not in a two-horse town, but we're not in a busy metropolitan centre either. But there's a fair community here.
There is. So we have roughly about 6,500 people in the Bannockburn community. I've been here 11 years and it's grown and changed a lot. So we've gone from our grass fire brigade to now we have multiple alarm premises that we tend to, a lot of sort of structure fire calls, and we support a lot of our local neighbouring brigades as well. So yeah.
And what's one of your, I guess, fondest moments or memories about being captain of the local brigade?
I actually like getting out into the community. So we attend a lot of the farmers markets and we attend the schools. We just did a Children's Week visit this week, so we had all our emergency services there, so that's always fun, being part of the brigade and being part of the community.
Now, a little birdie tells me that you're a little bit of a glutton for punishment when it comes to emergency service life, because not only do you volunteer as the local Bannockburn captain, but you sort of work in the field as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I work at 000 Victoria. I work at our Ballarat Centre. And I work in the fire space.
Yes. Most likely, so if anyone remembers, or if the voice is sort of, now I remember, that's the voice of Firecom. Now you can put a face to the voice.
Yes, it is, and it is nice. We have visits come in from Brigade, so it is nice to put faces to voices, and it's a great job.
So here's your time, an opportunity, I guess, for all the brigades and members out there watching, putting your 000 Victoria hat on as a channel operator. Any tips and tricks for the members out there this season?
Just slow down when you're talking on the radio, so your dispatcher will love you.
There you have it. Nice and slow, nice and calm, and your dispatcher will love you forever. So, Bannockburn, been around for a while. I understand you've got a bit of an anniversary coming up.
Yes, we do. So we turn 100 in January. Wow,
that's awesome. And what are some of the, I guess, history through time? Any sort of snapshots or anything that you can share?
I'm actually going to throw this one. I'm going to throw this one to Dale. Dale's more of our historian, so he's got more of the information.
Well, Dale, I see we've got some memorabilia and historical pieces coming up on the screen now. Step us through what we're looking at.
So the Brigade was inaugurated 28th of January 1925. That's the first newspaper recording of the Brigade's first meeting. So the first image we have of the Brigade that we've been able to get our hands on is from the Weekly Times in 1947, post-war, with their very first truck, an old Dodge, and the members are all proudly displaying the latest firefighting equipment there, the beaters and the old metal knapsack that'll break your back kind of thing.
Yes.
And of course the members that are there, rural brigades of course, there's key names across a district. So they're recognised across townships and that with road names and things. So the Morellans are the key ones in our brigade here for many, many years. And there's Ron Morellan, that's in the 80s. He was in the image in 1947 as a young whippersnapper. He and his wife Joan and Ron were recognised by District 7 for their exceptional service over an extended period of time. We've named our comms room after them as well because Ron was so pivotal in radio comms for so many years across not just our brigade area but the group area as well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so really key members and very well respected. Yeah. And unfortunately they both passed now, which is a real shame.
And was that an Austin or a Bedford?
An Austin.
An Austin?
Yeah, we wish we knew where it was. If anyone knows where our old Austin is, it's on a farm somewhere, probably up on blocks. It'd be nice to know. Yeah. Yes, it would be nice to know where it is. Yeah.
Get it restored and lovingly show it around. So that's fantastic. That 100 years. That's really an achievement for a brigade. And as we know, there are many brigades across the state that are hitting big milestones. And I just recently celebrated some with brigades at 150, 170 even years, and that just so goes to show the strength of fire brigade in this state and volunteering in this state for the local community as well. So what do we see here?
So every so often we manage to get our mugs on the newspaper, and the penance you pay for getting your mug on the newspaper for us is a box of beer.
Yeah,
so there's 5 boxes of beer in that image, which came from our strike team that went down to the Cobden fires. That's the morning after they disappeared from the station around midnight, and that was them the morning after.
The tax had to be paid.
Yes.
Very good. So Shannon, so this is a shared facility with the SES. Talk us through that.
So we have one SES rescue unit that is usually parked in our engine bay here, and tonight is their training night, so you may see them around. But we work well with them. We have a good relationship with them, and they have a pretty busy unit that gets called out. I think they support most of the Golden Plains Shire. So
And do you find, I guess, being cohabitated, that interaction has helped with that interoperability when you are deployed to the incident scene together?
Yeah, I think we work well as a team. We do a fair bit of training together as well when we can. So it's it works really well.
Yeah. Dale, your reflections?
Being a joint station, Sometimes it's crowded, but it is good that we know each other, and when we get out in the field and they're assisting us or we're assisting them, works beautifully.
Oh, excellent. So talk us through, oh, hello, we've got the old extinguisher here. Looks like it's been turned into a trophy of some description.
It is. So this is our John Parker Operational Award. So Brigade Awards we hand out once a year. This one goes to the member who has the most turnouts. And John Parker was one of those key members for many, many years. A real gentleman, pivotal in the development of the Brigade, held various roles in the Brigade. Very strong in our FEM program for many years. So when he passed, the Brigade decided to have some awards in his name. So that was the first one. The second one there was for outstanding support. So recognising that it's not just jumping on the back of a truck and going and doing the exciting stuff, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff that happens in behind that is so important for a brigade. And so that award is awarded by the brigade officers. They choose which member they want to award that to. So that's really good, and really good with non-operational members as well.
Awesome. And the juniors get an award too, I see?
The juniors choose their own member.
Very good.
So they vote on which of the juniors gets the award each year, and that gives them a real interest in being involved. Got a great little junior brigade here. Numbers fluctuate a little bit as kids come and go, but hey, they know the trucks better than we do. You know, they're pretty switched on. And what we have here, of course, is in the yellows there is Ainsley, which is Shannon's daughter. So both Shannon's daughters are in the brigade. Both came up through our juniors, and now Ainsley is a junior leader. She runs our junior program as well. So there's connections all the way through, family connections all the way through in this brigade, and that would be the same for so many brigades as well.
And how important is the junior movement to the brigade, and I guess getting the youth engaged in the community, and then I guess with the hope that they come through the ranks into the senior membership?
Absolutely. So our junior brigade is slightly different to most. Ours don't participate in the running or the championships. So our junior brigade pretty much does exactly what our seniors do. So they learn the trucks, they learn the same drills that we do. A lot of our seniors have come from our juniors. So and as Dale said, they run rings around us. They know those trucks like the back of their hand.
I've met many junior brigades, and I can absolutely assure you that the enthusiasm and the passion is just second to none. So Dale, I see you're the Community Safety Coordinator, but we've got an interesting little thing here in front of us tonight. What's that all about?
Well, apart from the honour boards at the back there, which need updating, this is Bannockburn Tanker 3, as we happily know it. It's part of our community engagement, and as you can see, it's got a target on the back, and you can drive it along with a stream of water. And that's a great fun with the kids. They love pushing that thing around. Built by one of our members, and the lights on it actually work, blue and red.
Wow.
Shame we haven't got them going just at this moment. Fantastic little thing that he put together, was really, really good. So we do a bit of community engagement here. Interesting community, lots of new families into the area. It's very much a growth community, so they're hard to get hold of at times. But when there's an opportunity, we'll be there. So Shannon mentioned we do school visits, kinder visits, Santa stuff coming up, of course, plenty of Santa stuff coming up.
The isolation switch.
Oh, there we go. And there it is, the lights going. And the farmers market as well. So if the community won't come to us, we'll endeavour to go to the community.
And do you find that's really been helping with that community engagement and that interaction with?
We get some buy-in, not a huge amount. That's what I mean. It's a new town, people coming out to the country in inverted commas. So they're sometimes not really switched onto it. And the other thing we really want to engage on, of course, is structural fires, house fires. So many new homes here. It's inevitable that we get some of those occurring as well.
So talk me through, obviously, there was a lot of conversation and talk around population migration as a result of COVID, working from home and the like. Did you see any of that here, and have you had to change how you might do community engagement as a result of that?
No, it's just been a steady, rapid rate of growth here. We're just outside of Geelong, and with the ring road being created, all of a sudden we're a real strong dormitory suburb. And under the growth projections for the state, this local government area has to take their share of it, and Bannockburn is identified as a growth area. So not only is it growing fast now, but there are plans for it to double in size within the next 15 years. There's a whole precinct structure plan being done for the southern end of the township. So it's going to change rapidly over the next 10, 15, 20 years.
And I guess for the BMT, there's a real consideration then about future development of the brigade to meet the growing and emerging risks of the community as it does grow as well. So yeah, certainly some big things to happen for Bannockburn and a challenge for you all into the future. Well done. Well, thank you for sharing your stories, telling us about the history of the brigade. Thanks for the tips and tricks for using the radio. It's fantastic to see, and as you know, we've got the big 100 coming up, and I know many of the brigades across the state will join me in congratulating you when that time comes to celebrate. It will be absolutely fantastic.
If I may.
You may.
Putting a call out to past members, trying to get hold of past members. So if they want to be involved in our celebrations next year, of which we have several things planned, please reach out to the brigade via our Facebook page, and we'd love to hear from them.
Excellent. Well, there you go. There's the plug. So if you know a former member of Bannockburn, share the news. They want to get in contact to be able to invite them to celebrate their 100-year celebration. Well, the board loves to get out and about amongst our brigades, whether it be metropolitan or rural communities. And recently, we held a board meeting in Lawson. Following that board meeting, we took opportunity to do a little bit of a vox pop with the chair of the board, Jo, who's with us here tonight, but also the other board members to get insights of what it means for them to be on the CFA board and what matters most to them. So let's hear it now.
At the September board meeting in Lawson, CFA spoke with all board members on why they joined the CFA board and what the future holds.
Definitely no stranger to being a volunteer, but you know, what better organisation to work with and enable than somebody like the CFA to make sure that each of you can get out and do your jobs and the really important work that you do with our community each and every day, as well as when we're into emergency management.
I saw the opportunity to put in my experience and my background as a volunteer over a number of years, being a brigade officer and a brigade group officer. And get that opportunity to have input into how the organisation's run.
Well, my dad had been a member of the CFA, so I grew up knowing a little bit about what he did for the CFA. And second of all, because my parents' house, we had a property at Eastern View that was burnt down during Ash Wednesday, and my parents instilled in us the huge value that the local brigade brought to the community and the responsiveness during that event.
I first thought about joining the CFA board when I was a councillor back in Wodonga, and back then they had representatives on the CFA board for municipal organisations, but it wasn't until after that, and I actually did join as a volunteer nominee on the CFA board, and I just think it's a wonderful opportunity to represent volunteers at that highest level of our organisation.
As we faced fire services reform, to ensure that the long and proud history of the volunteers was honoured, valued and appreciated.
It's a great organisation. I mean, in terms of Australian organisations, the brand is just incredible in terms of the service it provides to community, so I wanted to be part of that.
Because I wanted to be part of the solution. I wanted to be part of that ongoing investment of who we are as CFA and as a member, particularly as a volunteer member.
It's an organisation I've known my whole life and it does wonderful work. I'm committed to public service and serving the community, and CFA puts that very much at the heart of its purpose.
Just the coordination of 50,000 volunteers across a whole state, but all with similar goals to protect their communities.
The depth of commitment of volunteers, the amount of time, effort, work that's put in, and at one level I expected it, at another level to see it operating in the day-to-day is something else entirely.
The complexity of the business and the diversity of the brigades around the state and what they all need.
Well, as somebody who's been involved with CFA for probably 35 or more years, there wasn't a lot of surprises. I've seen it from every aspect, as a volunteer, as a staff member and as a previous board member. So I knew the organisation pretty well from the inside out.
I probably wasn't surprised too much. I having been a long-term vol, I knew how the operations worked on the ground. I knew how the brigades ran.
So I think it just, never ceases to amaze me, just the amount of breadth of what we do as an organisation. We see a lot on the news about, suppressing fire and helping Victorians. There's so much more that we do, not only within brigades and within memberships and communities, but across all of our headquarters and across all of our offices in the state, that we're very complex but a very incredible authority to be part of.
There are 52,000 odd volunteers, and I just cannot believe how sophisticated each of the brigades are in their own right across the state. Of course, we have around about 1,000 odd paid employees that work behind the scenes to try and make your job as easy as they possibly can. But the sophistication and the maturity around the work that each of the brigades does is just absolutely incredible. And the amount of training that you do as well to be as effective as you are was also joyful to see.
What surprised me the most is for an organisation that fundamentally fulfills, in some respects, a simple purpose, it's very complicated. There's a lot of jargon. It takes quite a while when you join the board to actually start to pick up some of the language and the meanings behind the different acronyms that are used all the time.
Great question.
Really exciting.
Bright.
Makeup of the volunteers will change.
Climate change.
Do whatever we can to support the volunteers.
Amazingly connected.
Building on the strengths.
Hopefully an amazingly connected and representative organisation of our communities and of our responsibilities with emergency management.
The CFA has an inbuilt concept of how we do that across the state, and it will work despite what the other parts of the organisation do or don't do to support the volunteers. But generally the concept for us is do whatever we can to support the volunteers to do what they do out there.
The future for CFA, I hope, is bright. There's been a lot of great opportunities delivered through fire services reform, but a lot of challenges. And the challenges particularly with staff vacancies and staff turnover are a massive, massive challenge for us.
Sort of challenging question to ask yourself, because fundamentally we're always going to need to put out fires in country Victoria, but I think the shape of the organisation will change, the makeup of the volunteers will change, and volunteering is a sort of a cherished attribute of the CFA, and how we maintain that going into the future is really important.
The future for CFA is going to be interesting and will continue to be challenging, particularly in these days of climate change. On the upside, there's an opportunity, and an exciting one, to see what technology can do to assist us as we go about our vital operations.
I think the future is a really exciting one for the CFA. Post-fire services reform, there's been a lot of challenges and complexities which still exist, but the existing management team has done an excellent job of laying the foundation for an exciting future. And I think we have the right people in place in the right positions to really deliver what's needed for the state.
The future for CFA is really about building on the strengths of being a volunteer-based organisation. Protecting our communities, making things better, a group of people that are wanting to do things for the place that they live.
So we had a board event last night. We came up to Lawson prior to the board meeting on the Monday, and we were lucky enough to share dinner with some people from in and around the region, including our volunteers, and we had an incredible discussion really around the table, and learnt the things that are working well for volunteers, the things that perhaps we can do differently. And from that, the board will take those discussions away and make sure that we're really considering those in our decision making. So yes, there are improvements to make, and we heard those things, and we will certainly consider that in the work that we're doing as much as we possibly can.
Well, fantastic to hear from our board members at that board meeting in Lawson, and getting some insights from them in terms of why being on the board is important to them, and what does CFA mean to them, and the future of CFA as well. And a big shout out to all our board members who are watching this evening. But we're we're here tonight with the big kahuna, the head, the chair of the board, Jo Plummer. Welcome. Thank you.
And thank you for having me.
No, thank you for coming along. Now, we're in Bannockburn, District 7. That's your backyard, isn't it?
Pretty much. I just roll down the hill to Hamlin Heights, so I'm about 20 minutes drive from here.
So it's a Geelong local. You're really involved with your local community.
I am
and the Geelong Football Club. Go Cats. So tell us, what made you think about coming onto the CFA board?
Well, I guess a couple of things. So I've had a career in governance for the last, almost 20 years. The CFA brand is absolutely incredible. It's absolutely gold. And certainly I'm no stranger to volunteering myself. So community is incredibly important, and it's a brilliant opportunity to help share the challenges and the opportunities. And if we can improve a little bit more each time, then that's a win.
Yeah. So originally coming onto the board as the deputy chair,
yes,
and then spending some time with us, and then stepping up to the board chair role. What was it like going from deputy chair into chair, and what are some of the challenges that you see as chair of the board?
I think they were trying before they were buying, really. So hopefully that's a tick of approval. Deputy chair's a nice little place because you can kind of take your time to learn the ropes and all of the acronyms, and it is quite a complicated organisation.
Tony spoke about the acronyms, yes?
Yes, so it does take a little while to get your feet under the table, so that was actually quite a nice introduction. In terms of chair, I certainly don't think of myself as the big kahuna. It is absolutely about a team, and my role is to make sure that we get the smarts around the room and across the organisation, which is 52,000 strong, and make sure that we have the very best, that we can make the very best decisions with what we have available to us.
So talking about the role of chair, is it your background in governance? So for those that may not know, I guess, the role of the CFA board, do you want to touch on the board as the authority and why it is important, and what are some of the key roles that the board plays in making sure our volunteers get to do what they do best, which is protecting our Victorian communities?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, the board in many ways, at the end of it, we're here to support the volunteers. Everything we do is about making and enabling your jobs to be better and safer and all of those things. The board's role is really simple as far as I see it. Number one, we need to make sure that we've got a terrific executive in place, and you would know obviously that we have just employed our new CEO, Greg Leach, which we're very proud to have Greg joining the team, and of course yourself, and that is an incredible partnership. That aside, the reason why that is so important, because whether it's culture, whether it's policies, processes, systems, we're only as good as our leadership. So it's really important that we have that in place. And then secondly, the board's role is around making sure that we are clear on what our North Star is, and some people might call that a strategy. We can call it strategic intent, strategic objectives, there's a whole bunch of things. Our why, our purpose, we're all really clear on that, and the board needs to be really clear on that. And then what we need to do is to make sure we've got the right guardrails in place. So when we're looking to achieve that North Star, what are the guardrails, whether it be risks or opportunities that we are willing to take in pursuit of achieving those goals? And that's, of course, wrapped up with a budget.
Yes.
Which, we don't have that much control over. And I think that is one thing that is really important to get the message across is, at the end of the day, there will always be trade-offs, but I can promise you there is a great deal of deliberation, and we always try to make the very best decision that we can.
Yeah, absolutely. I know yourself and your fellow board members really want to hear about the volunteer experience. It's very important to you. I know in the board meetings I get asked quite regularly around insights from the volunteer brigades, as myself, the CEO and other executive are travelling around the state, whether doing functions and the like. But that also extended to holding the regional board meetings as well. And in Lawson we did something very new. Do you want to talk us through what that was?
Yeah. So we had a night before the board meeting, and we invited invited a whole bunch of key stakeholders and probably half a dozen or so volunteers from around the place, and we had a great discussion. We were sort of chewing and chatting at the same time, but it was really free-flowing. It was a great opportunity for the board to ask questions, but equally, to be listening and really hearing, with that little ear, those big noises, or the big noises with a little ear, so that, when we are making those decisions, we understand better what's happening on the face of it. But I think the more we can get out, the more we can engage with volunteers, the better we can support your needs in what we do. So, and we intend to do a lot more of that.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, we're planning to head out to the West region for our next meeting at Ararat to go and hear from our members who are affected by the recent Bayndine fire and sort of hear the experiences of them as well. A different dynamic to the volunteers that you would have in Lorne, from coastal to regional farming communities, and I think that's really important. So, Jo, I'm pretty sure a lot of volunteers are probably out there thinking, from the chair's perspective, what do you see as the big top 3 issues that that the board are probably working through and considering at the moment that they would see as really important to the future of CFA?
Look, I think there's a handful of really big priorities. One is our financial sustainability and resilience, because at the end of the day, we do need new trucks and equipment, and keeping our volunteers safe is incredibly important, as well as being able to think about technology and so forth into the future, which is hard to do, of course, when you've got a tight budget. So, making sure that we have the right equipment to do the right job, is really important. We know that we've got fire services reform, and we need to make sure that we are leveraging the opportunities out of that. And yes, there are some challenges, but we will continue to work with people, build those relationships and squeeze every bit of value out of that we can. And then I think, it's about the sustainability of the service going forward. And one of the really important things is, you can see what an incredible turnout we have here. I'm just loving seeing these junior brigades, and it's something that I would like to see us really lean into, because that is going to be our future, and embracing diverse communities. It would be great to see more women in operational roles, because at the end of the day, we're 50% of, the population. And, I'm certainly seeing that shift, and the way that we're embracing that is really encouraging.
Absolutely. Well, it's really been great to talk to you, Jo. I guess any final thoughts for our members out there? We've got a lot of the forum still to go, and I'm pretty sure you're not going to escape tonight without some sort of question, either coming from the audience tonight, or when I get back to the desk, I'll be checking the chat through the live stream there. So, any final thoughts that you might like to leave with our volunteers?
Yeah. So I think. I would firstly like to thank each and every volunteer and your families, because it is not a one-person job. When you're turning out, it's a whole family affair. And as you've pointed out this evening, often we have many members of families in Brigade. So thank you for all of the work that you do in keeping our community safe, firstly. And secondly, we potentially have a big season coming up. And, at the end of the day, you are doing lots of incredible work to be prepared, but please be safe. That's the number one thing. Not just about our community, but about yourselves as well.
And I guess it's with some sort of trepidation that you say that, because we're actually in fire danger period now for much of District 18 and 17. In fact, as we speak, there's a 200 hectare fire burning in District 18. And based upon what I'm seeing on the weather forecast at the moment, Sunday may actually be the state's first total fire ban for this season. So I agree, share your sentiments in terms of safety first. It's been one of our values, and it's great to have you here this evening, and thank you for taking some time to have a chat with us this evening. Well, it's great to hear from our board chair, and as I said, we'll get back to the desk to see what's going on into the chat. But first, we've got the following video. So Community Fire Refuge, as I said, there's 5 of them in the state of Victoria. The community fire refuges are typically placed in locations where the community cannot obtain a neighbourhood safer place. A neighbourhood safer place is a place of absolute last resort. It's not to imply the community can go there and be safer. It's just somewhere that you can go when there's absolutely nowhere else to go, and you would be safer there than if you had stayed at home, but we still don't guarantee you'll survive. Then you have these community fire refuges. I said they're generally in communities where a township or a locality, we can't obtain a neighbourhood safer place, but they need some sort of community refuge in that particular area, and they're generally surrounded by dense timbered areas. Remembering that a fire can reach its maximum heat potential within a 100-metre fire run. So it only takes 100 metres for a fire to meet its maximum potential. So hence why this is constructed the way that it is. At the end of the day, if you find yourself at a place of last resort, it is not going to be comfortable. So we make that very clear to people, and we make no guarantees of your ultimate safety. There's a master control panel in 8 Nicholson Street at the State Control Centre, which has, you're able to view CCTV. When you push the button out front, we'll have a look at that. It rings into both the State Control Centre and also the nearest ICC. It's designed to be sort of fairly initiative, remembering that it's designed in such a way that the Brigade is assumed not to be here at the time. We assume them to be on the trucks out and about. So when they come in, there'll be instructions read to the person over the telephone when it's there, as I said, and all key personnel are alerted. You're then given directions to come in. The light will be flashing, so you're told to go to the cabinet with the flashing light, and you'll open it up, and as I said, it'll tell you perform all priority and secondary tasks as listed in order of priority. So if you open it up, so turn the generator on, damper switch to closed position, so shut off all the air valves and everything, so it starts to seal off the station. Turn on the fire refuge air conditioner, and we'll see that all out in the motor bays. And then the fire refuge roller door lockout switch, so it stops people from inadvertently opening up the roller door in the event of the fire coming through. That's the bat phone instead, so pick up the phone. That'll bring straight into the ICC and the State Emergency Control Centre. Otherwise, you've got other bits and pieces, some firefighting equipment, and the like for community members, first aid kit and medical supplies, with a picture here in terms of what is in here. And then it's got open priority tasks and then a closure priority task checklist. And then some P2 smoke masks, again for some comfort. And effectively the building's been designed to withstand mass ember attack and radiant heat, so 2 hours duration. So you're safe in here for up to 2 hours. So that's the cabinet and the control room, the control centre. And then to close it up, it's just everything in reverse. Well, welcome back. And look, I have to apologise for that little mental blank that I had when I was talking to the board chair there. I completely forgot what throw to it. Yes, it was where we took the board members to the Lavers Hill Community Fire Refuge so they could see firsthand some of the great work that was done by emergency service partners following the tragic fires of. And it was absolutely great to be joined by the local brigade as they took us through and showed us the Community Fire Refuge, and it was a great opportunity to understand what it means, what it's there for. Again, Shannon, and now we're joined by Darryl from the local Bannockburn SES. And Shannon, you're going to take us around some of your appliances and show us what you have to offer. I guess this is where you get to brag to the rest of the state of what you have. And then we'll have a chat to you, Darryl, about what it means to be sharing with the CFA and some of the great things that the SES do in this local area. Sure. All right, Shannon, so let's go for a walk.
Okay, let's go. So I'll start with our light pumper. A few years years now. So seeing, as I spoke before, about us changing from a lot of grass fires to our structure fires, this will be our first appliance out the door. We have just been retrofitted with the new radios. So
I see them in there, yes.
So we have the new radios, and this is a very capable little truck. It's very cute going down the road, if you want to say cute. So our members absolutely love it. So there's a lot of members that don't want to see us upgrade, but I think that will be on the cards very soon with the way the Bannockburn's going. So.
That growing community that we spoke
Absolutely.
about.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And this is our big girl. We do have 2 heavy tankers. This is our 4.4 heavy tanker. This is a weapon. It's great. So it gets rolled out the door more times than the pumper, and it is a great firefighting appliance that we have in the community. So we get called to support our outlying brigades because of the water capacity. So we have 4,000 litres of water on the truck, and a lot of our outlying areas don't have water supply. So we come and help them with the water supply.
Awesome.
And then you'll see our FCV, so our newer Ford Ranger. So, and another piece of equipment that's loved by our brigade members. So yes.
And do you, with the FCV, I guess, used for supporting in transporting crews to incidents and the like, but also, I guess, for incident command and control as well on the program?
Absolutely. So it's part of our deployments in summertime. So if our group FCV is not available, the Bannockburn FCV will roll out the door.
Awesome. Well, welcome, Darryl. So tell us a bit about the local Bannockburn SES, and I guess whilst you're here with the captain, what's it like to share a house?
Yeah, well, we've shared the location for probably about 30 years.
Oh, wow.
It's slowly got challenging with new equipment from both sides of SES and CFA. We're fortunate enough recently to have secured land so that we look to a future away from here. Working with CFA here, Shannon and our controller Blake have done well to really unite the 2 teams, and of course we all work as one. So CFA support us on road rescues, we support them at events.
No, that's awesome. So tell us a bit about your unit, some of the jobs that you do and the area that you cover.
Sure, most commonly trees down these days, but 2 years ago we had floods in the area. It was about 45 jobs in 24 hours. We had 12 to 15 members to tackle that one, so that was quite a challenge. Road rescues, so the Midland Highway can be quite busy sometimes. Fortunately not as drastic these days, but it's been a busy unit over the years.
So we're about to come into what we consider the high-risk weather season, because not only with warm weathers and the like, we have there's risk of fires and at best, but also there's a real risk of storms for the community as well, isn't there? So for anyone watching out there, here's your opportunity, and I know Timmy Weebush would be very impressed with you.
Sure.
What are some of the messages for the community around getting ready for the high-risk weather season this year?
Certainly, make sure your gutters are cleaned, ready for take that storm water. Clean out your your crossovers on your roadways. Never drive through floodwaters, and secure those loose items whenever we have storm warnings. So trampolines in particular are a big one.
Yeah. And I know I'm quite regularly on the media talking to people about cleaning their gutters, but who knows? It has dual benefit from fire, but also from flood.
Absolutely. More water in your tanks is better than flooding your house.
Yeah, that is very true. Well, thank you, Darryl, for coming and having a chat to us about the local SES unit, for the fantastic work that you do for your local communities. Shannon, thanks for taking us around your trucks. I've got to say, it's probably the first time I've heard anyone describe a 4.4 as a weapon, and I reckon Danny Jones would be pretty happy to hear about that, and the engineering team for the great work that they did. So it is that time of the night again where we get to hear from Deputy Chief Officer Rohan about some of the advancements and what's new in training.
Thanks, Chief, and welcome everyone to tonight's training update. I'd like to thank ACFO David Maxwell for stepping into my role for the last month or so to allow me to take a little bit of leave. Dave did a great job and well and truly understands training in CFA and did a fantastic effort to work us through. I'll just talk about a couple of things. So firstly tonight, the training policy. So people may recall the AFAC recommendation number 3, so the recommendations into training, through the AFAC review, identified that training in CFA needed the oversight of one body. So we've developed a policy that essentially does that. It aligns to what we know as the Training Governance Committee, which has oversight of all training within CFA. And we're working towards that within the other departments within CFA to ensure training that's offered to our members is consistent and is managed in a similar fashion. There's a couple of elements that are now working through as a part of that. So a couple of procedures. The first one is an instructor endorsement procedure. So what we're looking to do there is to provide consistency in the way that our instructors are endorsed to deliver courses, to ensure that we can provide simple ways and consistent ways that our instructors, both paid and volunteer, can deliver courses. The second one is around recognition or recognised practitioners. So people may recall in the past, from our training courses, we may have had specialists or people who understand those skills, like strike team leaders or sector commanders, come and help deliver on courses. We're now formalising a procedure that allows recognised practitioners to assist in the delivery of training against our training programs. There's still a requirement to have instructors as a part of that training delivery, but there are some courses where we were absolutely reliant on recognised practitioners to help us deliver. So that both of those procedures are out for consultation at the moment, and we encourage feedback so that we can ensure we've got them on track. Next one I'd like to talk about, people may recall last year we sent 2 of our members, our volunteers, to Northern Territory to help deliver training to the Northern Territory Fire Brigade. That opportunity's come up again, and so this week we've got a couple of members up in Northern Territory into Darwin, and in a couple of weeks' time we've got a couple of members going to Alice Springs. So we've taken up that opportunity. It's really great that we see some of our volunteers assisting and leading training delivery in other states, and it's a real recognition of the work that they do, and provides that great learning experience for them as well. I will talk about the LMS, so the Learning Management System. It continues to plague us. We went through an upgrade in May and we're still struggling with a number of the elements of the LMS. A couple of them that will start to or have been affecting brigades is particularly our reporting. So our operational firefighter training compliance reporting, and I know brigades are reliant on that information, that has been intermittent in the data downloads. So we're moving to a temporary solution which is Power BI for brigades, and we'll make some more announcements and get some more information out shortly around that. But what we are doing is ensuring that the Power BI has the correct information that sees those competencies recorded and reported appropriately, so brigades can respond to it and work through their mandatory operational training. The other one I'll talk about tonight, again, is the good news story, Respond to Urban course. And we received a little bit of information from a couple of courses that have run recently on the feedback from the courses, and we'll do a little bit more on that in coming months and share some further information. But so far at this stage, since we've rolled out Respond to Urban, we've had 322 members complete the course, which is quite remarkable when you understand the numbers and the length of time on the course. But the feedback we've had from a number of members is the value of the course and how it has prepared them to perform at a higher level operationally. So that's really good for us to be aware of. But importantly, it's great that our members receive the course in that way and have a great experience through it. What we've also been doing though is we've had requests from a number of fire services to share information on the Respond to Urban courses. So last week we had the South Australian CFS come out and participate in a Respond to Urban course from an instructor point of view. So they've not only had a look at our course and considered where it fits into their organisation, but they're now training towards being able to deliver it. And we've also had inquiries from New South Wales and from Queensland on our Respond to Urban course. So that's really rewarding for the teams that have been building the courses, but it's also a great acknowledgement of the quality of the course. The last one I will talk about tonight is our Strike Team Leader course, and I had a conversation with a number of people a little while ago and said it's only 2 weeks away, and like most things in CFA, you don't always get a smooth run to the finish line, and unfortunately there have been a couple of delays in delivering the Strike Team Leader course to the regions so it can be delivered. I'm now glad to say that the regions are now starting to schedule Strike Team Leader courses and they have the materials. So we've developed an 8-hour Strike Team Leader course. We know that it will have a high demand, and we'll be working with the regions to ensure that the regions can successfully deliver that course into the fire season, and that our members get the skills that they need to respond to calls for this summer. So that's good news. I do apologise for the delays that it's taken, but I think people will be comfortable and happy with the course when they see it. That's it for the training update tonight. I'll pass back to you, Chief.
Thanks, Rohan, for that update and some important information there. Look, I would like to take this opportunity and time to, I guess, reinforce some of the messages that Rohan has touched on this evening. I know through the emails that I received, through the comments that I monitor on Facebook, that LMS at the moment is a problem for us. It is a challenge. The upgrade to the system hasn't quite gone as expected, but rest assured our ICT teams and the ODT team and training are working day and night to try and get it back to the way that it was, to functioning the way that our members need, and I would appreciate and thank everyone for their patience while we do that. There are some immediate workarounds that are being worked on, particularly for brigades, to be able to track and your essential minimum safety requirements for summer obligations, and some correspondence was sent out last week in respect to that. We are well aware of the issues. Please continue to speak to your local district, your CLD, in relation to what's going on there. And again, I thank Rohan and the team for working very hard to try and get that LMS system back up to where it needs to be for our members. Well, we've got an audience question here this evening, and I've got one from Mark.
Yeah, thanks, Chief. Probably there's a couple of us in the room that were lucky enough to be part of the 20-odd that went to Dubbo a couple of years ago to do the Divisional Commander, Sector Commander and Level 2 Ops course. Certainly from our perspective, it was one of the best courses we'd ever been to, both from a theory side and also from the practical side of it. So my question to you is, and certainly after that, there was huge discussion and excitement probably about it coming back into CFA into Victoria. Can I just ask where that's at? I just haven't heard anything since.
No, absolutely, and thanks. Thanks for going to Dubbo and doing that. As you say, it was quite an intensive course. Yes, the agenda is to bring it to Victoria, and I know the ODT team are working on that as we speak for the Divisional Commander and Sector Commander courses, so you will see that rolled out. As Rohan touched on in his training update, there's been, as a result of the LMS update, it's been some resources taken away to make sure we're getting that right for our members. And so, but then it's all hands to the wheel in terms of continuing to develop and roll out those courses. So hopefully you will see something in the next bit.
Fantastic, because the skills that we've learned have all been used here in both in Region 7 and in the region over with the Bayadine fire. That number of us here ended up in those positions in those fires.
Now look, it's great, and I have had conversations with ODT about whether we do send another group up to New South Wales in order to do another run and another trial. So I'm really buoyed to hear that you enjoyed it. And got a lot out of it, and were able to put it into practice last season. So thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we're joined by a few more people on the panel here this evening, and some might recognise a few familiar faces. I'm joined by Brendan Lawson, our ACFO for District 7. However, that's not really what you're doing at the moment. Did you get your passport stamped when you left the southeast region into the northeast?
Yeah, I had to get permission to come back from the northeast tonight, so it's... It's okay.
For those that don't know, Brendan Lawson is the Acting Deputy Chief Officer for the North East region and will be in that position until January. So a well-earned opportunity for Brendan. A bit of a returning home. I understand you were a volunteer back in the day at Tallangatta.
Yeah, born and bred in Tallangatta, so hopefully I'll get up there to say good day.
Excellent. I'm sure the locals won't let you get away without doing so. So welcome to the panel tonight. An opportunity to speak to everyone, I guess. And as I was talking to Jo and Jo mentioned about this season and that it will be likely to be a season and the need for our members to stay safe. Talk me through, I guess, from an ACFO's perspective here in Severn, but also from a deputy's perspective as well. What are some of the things that you do to get your district and your region ready for summer?
Yeah, so we've been watching the conditions closely for a number of months, and it's fair to say that we've had concerns around the rain decile for a period of time. That was pretty much a signpost for us to start working closely with our brigades and groups around being ready early. Our groups do an amazing job in supporting our brigades to prepare not just themselves but the communities that we have. The interesting part of District 7 is we have a lot of, I guess, not necessarily unique risks but different risks. We've been watching closely, the soil moistures in the eastern Otways and how that's been progressing, but the ridgeline to the north of our district is very dry as well, and it comes in the south of Werribee and runs right into the back of Darryl. So we are dealing with dry conditions now. We have experienced some rainfall in recent times, but it's fair to say our season's upon us like out west in the next few weeks, not months. But we're well prepared. A lot of the brigades have been working away with the Chief Officer's expectations for a number of weeks and months. We get really great compliance to that. We average about 98% compliance in that. So
yeah, it really is a credit to you and your team. Both your command team and your group and captains, because people probably don't know, but District 7 consistently is above 95% in compliance for both entrapment and for hazardous trees. So a well-deserved recognition, and there's not through a lot of effort that's put into making sure that's the case.
Yeah, and it's a credit to our district planning committee. They've set the bar really high. There's a really important legacy for us here in District 7 and we want to honour that, and we do the hard work to make sure that we're prepared. Without a doubt, our brigades go over and above.
Excellent. So Brooke, local group officer, took me through, I guess, your insights for the season and what's it like to be part of a group team to get ready?
Yeah, look, I guess Brendan touched on the fact that there is risk that sits across the top of our district and most of that sits in our group. So we do have a lot of dry bush type forest areas through our state parks and national parks. That is of concern. Some of the positives that's come out of the last couple of weeks, obviously that rain event that we had a couple of weeks ago, that's refilled a lot of the dams. A lot of that water didn't seep into the ground or improve the soil moisture. That's a negative, but that sheeted off and filled our dams for us, so that's a bit of a positive as well. Our brigades are prepared, and as Brendan spoke, he heaped a lot of praise back into the group, but I have to put that down to the brigades because at the end of the day, it's the brigades that put in the hard yards to be able to actually get themselves ready for the summer season, and they've done that well.
So for those that, I guess, are new to either CFA or don't know the organisation so much, talk me through the role of a group officer and what you would normally do for Brendan and the team here in District 7.
Yeah, well, Brendan touched on the fact that the DPC is a very important part of the District 7 structure. Group officers sit within that, and our group structure sits within that. There are a number of our DGOs that sit across those subcommittees that feed into the DPC as well. One of the things that Shannon missed talking about, not only is she a captain, but she's one of our DGOs as well. So that's a recent appointment, so well done. We integrate really, really strongly with District, and I guess we're the conduit for the work that District puts in the preparedness back into our brigades.
That's awesome. Now, I guess, Brendan, also, if I talk about the District 7 context, you spoke about some unique risks. There's probably a few that I know you and I do have regular conversations around, and that is both the lawn summer program and you sort of somewhat become the ACFO for music festivals at various times of the year. Talk us through firstly the Lawn Summer program and some of the things that you're doing around that.
Yeah, it's a program we're really proud of. You know, it's something that we have broadened over its life cycle. So, you know, coming into the Christmas period, we know that the lawn community really struggles around access, egress, you know, being able to commit the resources in there. Our people across the district, and now we supplement that with District 6, 14 and 15 with involvement from some of their members, where we have crews on duty in lawn. They get to learn the risk environment, they get to integrate with the community and enjoy everything that lawn has on offer. It's such a great, unique program, and certainly when we've needed to call upon that quick response, it's given us that, and we think it's really beneficial for the whole of the coastal community.
And we talk about that flexible volunteering sort of type model and the rest, but there's a really good example of you know, volunteers applying their skills from all across your local district and surrounds into a brigade that needs that capacity lift, because a lot of them there work in the seasonal trade, have shops and those sort of things. So this is about making sure that we're looking after our members, their business interests and their livelihoods, but also ensuring the safety and security of the community when they do go down into those coastal regions.
Yeah, absolutely. Our Lawn Brigade's such an amazing brigade. The local knowledge and their community connection is something that we dovetail into with our crews there. So it's a really good program.
Absolutely. So I'll get on to the other, I guess, interesting topic that we regularly talk about, and that's music festivals. Now, District 7 is no stranger to them.
No.
Tell us a little bit about what it means for District 7 and, again, how it changes the risk environment for you here.
Yeah, so if you can imagine having 35,000 people placed in the middle of a paddock, that's one of the events that we need to deal with on a yearly basis. So it's quite a large operation if you think about it in the context of the size of one of our regional cities these days. That moves into our western grasslands and creates a lot of complexity. So we work really closely with our municipalities and the event organisers to make sure that in the context of managing that risk, we do the best job we can. Our people, and more particularly with that music festival, the Winchelsea group put a lot of support to make sure that we can respond in, and anyone that's transient in relation to traversing into the incident can be safe on our roadways and be protected, and the same of leaving the site. A lot of work, but that's just one. I could reel out another 3 or 4, Chief, but it's a big focus for us, and something that we're a little bit proud of in relation to some of the learnings that we've been able to pass on statewide to make life easier for other districts around event planning.
So talk us through as a DPC, how do you get involved and I guess help Brendan in ensuring the safety and security of the local communities here?
Yeah, so I guess all of our, as I've said, all of our DGOs, the way we've structured the group, they have a function within each of the DPC subcommittees, whether that be training, community safety, rock health and safety, right through to ops and exec. So we're contributing through that. So we're operating pretty much as the voice of our group through into those forums. I guess the other thing that we're able to bring is that local knowledge back into the DPC as well. Brendan's spoken about some of those festivals. Quite often, a lot of our brigades are engaged in those festivals or the communities that those festivals are applied in. So it's really great to be able to get that information back into district and be able to get that applied, through the appropriate channels there.
Yeah, awesome. So I guess, Brendan, taking an opportunity then, in your other role as the Deputy Chief Officer for the North East region. So what are some of the, as a new DCO coming into that area, tell me through, I guess, some of the considerations that you'll be working through with the districts and the brigades in the North East.
Yeah, I think in the lead up to this season is that connection into our partner agencies and the way in which we operate as in our districts is really integral. Our groups and brigades are empowered to perform a role on your behalf, and I think if we've done the back of house training, and which we all have, we're going to be in a really good position to protect our community this summer. I think the other piece is that community connection. So there's a lot of work goes on by all our brigades across the state to connect and make sure that our brigades understand their risk and can respond to their risk when we need them to. So I think they're the two critical things that will put us in a really good position this summer.
And so for anyone out there sort of, thinking about leading to the summer and the rest of it, what's the best bit of advice that either of you can give for brigades and members?
I'll let you run first.
Look, there's nothing better than making sure that your currency around your chief officer's expectations, but understanding your brigade area, the local knowledge that our people bring around understanding the risk and being able to respond to that risk is absolutely integral to keeping fires small and making sure our community is safe.
It may sound a bit cliche, but yeah, it's certainly about let's prepare for the worst. If it turns out reasonably benign, that's a positive, and we'll fall somewhere in the middle and we'll be able to do what we need to do for our communities.
Awesome. Well, you both do a fantastic job here in District 7, and your DPC is kicking goals, and some of the programs, initiatives and innovation coming out of this district is really second to none. So I congratulate you both, your command team, your group structure and brigades, because there's some really good things happening here in District 7. So congratulations. Well, I'll turn over to this side of the panel now, who are probably not feeling loved. So let's have a bit of a chat. So welcome Phil, welcome Dale.
Thank you.
We're going to talk a bit about planned burning.
Yes.
So talk us through, as a Vegetation Management Officer, why is planned burning so important for communities?
Well, it's the safety. It creates strategic fire breaks, especially when we're talking either large bush blocks or roadsides. And in District 7 we have a number of both. But you talk about initiatives, I suppose I point to Brendan, and 2 seasons ago he came with an initiative of a big burn weekend, which we've had a chance to test a couple of times now, once here in District 7 and once in District 6. And we're trying to refine that process down, so moving forward this season, both District 6 and 7 are going to do the same thing again. And it just allows for a large number of burns to be put into the landscape in a safe, controlled manner, and it provides the local communities where they happen some safety in and around, and security in and around those areas over summer.
And I guess for all the firefighters that are watching, would understand about conditions and the like, but talk me through around planned burn and hazard reductions for the community members watching tonight. It really is there is an optimum time, isn't there, to where it can be done. There's a very short window of opportunity where it's not too wet, not too dry, but just right. The Goldilocks zone.
If we had a crystal ball, that'd be great. So we're planning, and again for this weekend, we're planning in mid-November. And of course, the rainfall that we had a week or 10 days ago was, number one, it was a godsend that we got the rain, but number two, that it slowed our planning down, or that ability to get out there. It is a short period of time for strategic fire breaks, but then we have a longer period at the end of the season for our ecologicals.
Yeah, I can see. So we're seeing some footage here of some planned burning. Talk us through, I guess, what we're seeing here.
The bush block, obviously, I would suggest it's probably an ecological burn, and to reduce fuel loads as well, because there's a lot of fallen fuel in that area. Most of our burns probably have that dual purpose. So we do reduce that fuel load, which creates a strategic break of sort. But it also has great benefits for our native plants, fauna and flora, and it's really good when we're burning at the right time and doing it the right way. It has great benefits to the country and to all our people around.
So does, as a vegetation management officer or here in this local area, do you get involved in any cultural burning at all?
We do some cultural burning, and I can probably throw to Dale as well, because he has led me into this space within the Woodorong area. So over the last 2 or 3 years, we've done a number of burns with our local communities, and we're looking to try and sort of upskill them in what they're doing, and providing more opportunities. And it's actually providing opportunities for our members to actually get out there to see their way of burning, and how we can both sort of make, I suppose, better opportunities for both.
Because it is about caring for country, and they've been doing that for generations and generations. I want to talk us through, I guess, the difference between, I guess, your traditional planned burn is what we would normally have done probably 5-10 years ago versus a cool cultural burn.
So I suppose 5 to 10 years ago for a lot of people, unless the whole area was black, it wasn't a burn. It had to be black, and all fuels removed, which is not good for country, because the more heat we put in, the more damage it does to the soil and to plants. So the traditional way of burning is a lot cooler, and I suppose if you like, it's out with the old and in with the new. So you get rid of the old biomass, and it creates an opportunity for new plants to regrow. And doing that in a cool way where we're not damaging the soils so plants can grow, and leaving part of the plant there to actually reshoot and regrow. And the traditional owners have a great way of doing that, and it's just picking that right time where what is ready to burn will burn, and what won't burn won't burn.
Absolutely fantastic. And look, thank you very much for both of you in your efforts in getting planned burning done, and the community engagement aspect of that too is also vital to ensure that community understands why we do planned burning, and some of those benefits, both from a protection perspective but also from an ecological and a cultural perspective as well. And Brendan, hats off to you and the team for making that happen as well. It's really great to see. Well, we've got audience question time, and Roger has stepped up to the microphone, and I bet he's going to ask me a doozy. Roger, over to you.
G'day, Chief. Thanks again for coming to District 7. It's always great to see you here. As you know, there's a lot of brigades in and around this district that work in large broadacre fires, and heavy tankers are a really important part of that logistics aspect to be able to keep the firefight on the edge. And many of those brigades, or quite a few brigades in the district, have VSEP heavy tankers. And that program of having heavy tankers on VSEP hasn't been around for a while. And I know we've spoken about it in the past. It's really important to us to have good advanced knowledge or notice that if there's going to be a plan that we can get all our coins together to be able to contribute towards a heavy, big project. Is there any plans at the moment to, number one, put VSEP heavy tankers on the books, on a plan for the future? And secondly, is there any plans to do a tanker that's probably a little less complex than the Ivecos, which are a great tanker, but a more affordable model for that VSEP program?
No, fantastic question, Roger. And I think, as we have discussed, one of the VSEP issues with the VSEP program is we need to balance the amount of funds that are allocated as part of that program, and as a co-contribution model. It's also about making sure that whatever we do, it means the brigades can actually afford it as well. So I have had early conversations with the VSEP team around what it would take to put a heavy appliance on the program. I think we need to do a little bit more work around that. As you know, they're not cheap, and I think it will be a challenge for brigades to raise those sort of funds. So we probably do need to think about a different model or how we might approach that to allow brigades to be able to contribute to that at the time.
Sure.
Certainly it's on the agenda, Rog, and I appreciate you raising it. I think it is. You're not the only one asking for them. And we just recently saw the VSEPs announced, and a lot of brigades across the state are happy with what they've got, and again, which will see an influx of, again, ultralight and medium type tankers, and I think I'm more than happy to have the conversation about how we try and get heavies on the list.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you. Commander Batty.
Chief.
Welcome.
Thank you. So I have a question for the Board Chair, if I may. And Jo mentioned earlier today, Jo, that diversity is one of the key focuses for the Board, which is really fantastic to hear, because we know that successful brigades are those that reflect the communities that they serve. I'm keen just to hear from Jo, from the Board's perspective, what are some of the programs or initiatives that CFA is currently working on to embrace diversity into the future in order to strengthen volunteerism?
Great question. One for you, Jo.
May I stand?
You may.
What a great question. I love that. So diversity, as we know, is incredibly important. Am I standing in the right spot here? Yep, amazing. And we know from evidence that diverse teams perform better, right? So there's no argument about that. We also know that Australia and Victoria is a very diverse community and getting more so all the time. And what we ideally want is that each of the brigades are actually representative of the communities that they serve, and that will be different for each brigade. So the Board is continually making sure that we provide the aspiration for the organisation, and making sure that inside the organisation they are providing the right supports for you to be able to go out and do that. Understanding your demographics, though, is a really simple thing that you can do. And then with your local knowledge, making sure you know where those people are hanging out, and let us know what it is that you need to help so that we can support you do that. Clearly, marketing is another really important method that we're employing, and making sure through our junior programs in particular. I mean, it's hard to change, you know, when we sort of get to the middle age and up, some of those demographics that we have inside brigades, but actually through our junior brigades, it would be great to see in 10 years' time that we're not actually sitting with that situation anymore. But really important, really glad to hear that. Fantastic.
Thank you, Jo, for taking that question there, and I think I can really reaffirm and support the Board Chair's comment there around the importance of diversity and reflecting the communities that we seek to serve. And I know it is very much talked around the board table, and certainly questions asked of myself and management around some of the positive things that we are doing to ensure diversity within our brigades, not only of diversity of gender, but by diversity of backgrounds and language and the like as well. So thank you for giving us some insight there this evening. Well, a couple of announcements or discussion points for members leading into the end part of the show. The Chief Financial Officer, Sam, I know he's watching here this evening, wanted me to talk about SAP Concur. We're about to roll that out in CFA, which will mean a streamlined and easy way for both staff and volunteers to claim expenses and allowances that are due when we go and participate in activities around the state. I know many volunteers have expressed frustration to me around how long it takes to process reimbursements, but also the burdensome paperwork and the stuff that they need to go to. With the rollout of SAP Concur, it will be an online system or an app that's on the phone that will allow our members to be able to apply that appropriately and quickly in a no-fuss way. Take a photo of the receipt and push it through, and the expense will be through to you. So thanks for the team, for the finance team for rolling that out. We do expect that system to come out in November. So it's an important step to ensuring that we support our volunteers and ensuring that no volunteer is out of pocket in contributing and looking after their local communities. We're inserting a link into the chat where you can get more information on the rollout of the SAP Concur system. The second one is on behalf of our Chief Information Officer, who wants to remind everyone about multi-factor authentication. I know we've been talking about that for the last couple of months. It's a way of ensuring that your data remains ultra secure within CFA. It will take a little bit to set up. It will become mandatory for all ICT systems in CFA from Thursday. So if you haven't enrolled yourself for multi-factor authentication, you can do that by registering an email, a phone number, or by having the Authenticate app on your smart device. It will ensure that you're able to continue to get access to things such as our LMS, members online and other products that we have through our volunteers by using our ICT platforms. As I said, it is an essential part of ensuring the security of your data and privacy in CFA, and that will become mandatory from Thursday. So for more information on multi-factor authentication, we'll put a link into the chat again here this evening. I encourage everyone to make sure you enrol and to find out more information on that. So we did discuss it at the last forum, and we also have been providing many updates to our people. A big shout out to our volunteer instructors. You do fantastic work, and Rohan touched on very briefly around 2 volunteers that went to the Northern Territory last year to help assist and train Territory Rangers in firefighting and looking after the Savannah regions of the Territory. Well, as Rohan said, we are sending 4 volunteers this time to the Northern Territory who will be assisting in training firefighters from the Northern Territory Fire Department and their parks equivalent in general firefighter to allow them to ensure that they are able to be available to look after their local communities and those important cultural lands across the Northern Territory region. So a big shout out to those volunteers. It's they're from the 24th of October through to the November, and the second deployment to Alice Springs from the 7th to the 13th of November. It's a big commitment, and I thank each and every one of them that are going up there, and it just goes to show some of the great work that CFA is doing, not only here in Victoria, but across the country. We have another audience question this evening. So,
good evening, Chief.
Welcome.
Thank you for coming. I've talked to you about this before, but recognition of skills and training on the fireground. At the moment, we have red hats and yellow hats, and we can have sector commanders, divisional commanders, etc. on the fireground, and we can't identify them in any way, shape or form. So it would be really helpful, especially in the early stages of a fire, to be able to look around and say, well, I've now got someone that I can see that's a sector commander or a divisional commander or a strike team leader, and be able to use them instantly. We can't do that at the moment because they all look the same. Is there any move to be able to identify different levels of skills and training on a fireground?
Well, the answer is yes, because I recognise that is a problem for CFA, and we do have some tabards that can be worn as well. But one of the challenges is also, as you say, in those very early commencements of a firefight, particularly a campaign firefight, is being able to look around the membership and sort of be able to see, I know that you are qualified or the like. So there is a program of work that's about to commence to do that. So we'll be going out to the volunteer masses to consult on that very shortly. The other thing that we've done that people might remember in terms of other qualifications, more so I guess in the urban type environment, I do acknowledge, was around the helmet identification and marking. So we finally put to bed the issue of internal search and rescue versus BA, as many people would know. So that was phase 1. In getting that done and landed. Phase 2 is the other aspect to that. So look forward to coming out and having a chat and giving you some insights to where we're thinking. Phase 3 is, and I know right now we've got about 400 people who are currently trialling and using the Pocketbook app. One of the features that we are looking at the Pocketbook is almost like a digital licence that allows you to show your credentials and endorsements live from the system to anyone that might need it. So again, assisting those volunteers that go and assist with other brigades. So you'll be able to have some sort of visual recognition, but also on your smart device have some formal official recognition as well. So thanks for bringing it up.
And just while I'm here, I'm DPC Chair 7, and at the forum that I was at recently that you held in Melbourne, I must say I was impressed with the work that's going on in the upper level of the CFA to be able to put cases to the government for funding and other bits and pieces. There's a lot of work that's gone on in the background that I think we're still to reap the benefits of, but I came away from that feeling really confident.
No, thank you, and look, we will always continue to work with the government of the day to ensure that our volunteers get what they need and the essential equipment and budgets that they do get. So thank you very much for raising that, and hopefully we'll have many more announcements and good news for our members in the next budget. Well, it's that time of the evening where we must say good evening. It's been a fantastic forum. I do want to really shout out and say thanks to Shannon Robertson for letting us come in. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the Bannockburn SES. It is their training night tonight. They have graciously vacated the premise here this evening to allow us all to come in and do the forum tonight. They've moved off site to do their training. My big thanks and appreciation to the Vic SES for doing that here locally, and it really is a good indication of how we do work as one here in this state together. To Dale, Brendan, Phil, thank you for coming along, Brooke, this evening. And to our chair, Jo Plummer, thank you for coming along and having a chat with us this evening. It's a great achievement to have Jo here with us. A local to Geelong, but certainly has big eyes on what CFA needs to be into the future, and with her fellow board members, I'm sure will drive an agenda that will see CFA sustainable and renewed into the future. To the team behind the desk, to Martin, to Beth, to my executive producer, Brad, and to Luna, thank you very much for pulling together a fantastic evening this evening. Without yourselves, the forum wouldn't be what it is. And to all our members who are watching online, thank you very much. Thank you for your questions, and thanks to the CFA staff that have been able there to answer them. So with that, as we said, fire season is well and truly here. As Brendan sort of reminded us all, make sure that we've got our skills up to date. But most of all, everyone stay safe and have a good evening.
We do it.